Oh, what a beautiful little dog.
Oh, that's Fanny. Shabbat shalom, Fanny. So cute. Fanny. I haven't either.
They can come in. They're just not. I can go to the Mishkan in the chat. So this will be great. I just need to look at it. So we can introduce them. So I'll introduce them. That's all I'm going to do. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Shabbat shalom. And I should also say, for the last time this season, Chag Sameach. We're going to begin tonight with a brand new Yedid Nefesh on page 10. Well, welcome Shabbat with light with our candle lighting on page 2. And usually we invite someone up. Lisa, are you feeling capable of reading something in English in public?
In English and public? Okay.
Okay. So if you could read for us on page 3, the reading of your choice. Yeah, you can join us. No.
As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
I know, just one job after another.
I thought my workday was done.
It's not yet. We will sing together.
That's why they tell you have to cover your eyes when you're lighting the candles. It's an act of faith. We'll continue with Kiddush on page 5. And we rise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hapaven. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvoto, v'ratzavanu, b'shabbat hodsho.
As we welcome the ministering angels who join us on Shabbat on page 24.
Shalom Alechem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon, Mimelech, Adoni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seichem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mimelech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
And just as we have so beautifully welcomed the supernal angels that bless us on Shabbat, so too we should take some time to welcome the angels that join us here in the chapel or on Zoom by way of a friendly hello or perhaps a Shabbat shalom in the chat.
He's doing double duty. Yeah, I don't know. Is anybody chatting with us?
We thought we sounded good before.
Oh,
It
yes.
sounds great
now. We
now.
have our original sound on. Okay.
We'll rise together in body or spirit on page 28 for the Baruch Hu.
Baruch Hu et Adonai, HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai, HaMevorach, Le'olam Va'ed.
Continue on page 33. We'll do so responsibly. Wisdom and wonder, passion and instruction, story and symbol.
All these things your Torah gives to us.
And the more we devote ourselves to it, the more it grows and gives.
What could be a truer token of your abiding love?
Than this holiest of your works in the living language that gives it form. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kivod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated as we continue on page 36 with Ve'ahavta.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom alevavecha Veshinantam livanecha, vedibartam, veshivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha b'derech, uvshochbecha, uvchumecha, uvshartam leot al yadecha, vehayu letotavot bein einecha, uchtavtam. Amezuzot beitecha uvisharecha liman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'item kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim Lehiot lachem Elohim Ani Adonai Elohechem
continue again responsively on page 39. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth.
The high heavens declare your glory, and may earth reveal your justice and love.
From bondage in Egypt we were delivered, and at Sinai we bound ourselves to your way.
Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces.
Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed.
Let us continue to work for the day when nations will be one and at peace.
Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Together at the top of page 43. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, el kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let
Rise in body or spirit on page 46 for tefillah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufliagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'koneh hakol, Ve'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, U'mevii geula livnei bneihem, Leman shemo mi'ahava, Melech ozer u'moshiach u'magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah, Atah gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechayeh hakol otarav lehoshia, Morid hatal, Mechakel chayim bechesed, Mechayeh hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim berofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayeh emunato, Lishenei afar, Micha mocha ba'al gevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memit umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman ata l'chayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hakol. Ata kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'chol yom yahalalucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, ha'el hakadosh.
You may be seated as we continue on page 59. God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more we offer thanks. Baruch atah Adonai, ato shimcha lecha na'en hodot.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Le'olam.
our community who are in need of healing, whether it be healing of the body, or healing of the spirit, or healing of the mind. As if there are any names that you would like to share with us, either here in the room or on our Zoom chat, feel free to do so now.
Abrams, Kate Nankin,
Kathleen Kelly.
Arizona.
We also hold the Harms and Roman families in our hearts tonight as we turn to page 253 from Shabbat. We offer you this Shabbos gift, that most holy, sacred gift of a little bit of space to fill with your own thoughts and prayers. You can use what's in your heart or those which you find on the page. This week I had the occasion to do a little bit of reflection, and I thought to myself, what a difference a year makes. This time last year, we were feeling increasingly isolated in our very, very small New York apartment, which was home, but very, very small. And it was a liminal space, much like the liminal space between Egypt and Mount Sinai. But it was a liminal space in which we sort of knew where we were going. I knew that I would be coming here to Providence. Victoria knew that she would be at Georgetown. And in a certain sense, we were just waiting in a holding pattern. And the days, as pandemic days do, blended one into the next. But I'm really grateful because we had this opportunity through an app that was called Clubhouse to connect with our friends across time and space. And two of our friends, Cantor Jacob Sandler, who we affectionately call Milk, and Aidan Mayers, decided that they would make a ritual for us. And every night for 49 days, from the second night of Passover until Shavuot, we would log onto Clubhouse in our little tiny apartment, and we would listen to them count the Omer. And they did it with a song. And I'll sing you the Nigun, and if you pick it up, you can sing it with me. And if you don't, that's okay too. And then we would offer this blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu, b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer, al sfirat haomer, hayom shiva yamim, shehem shavua echad, shehem shavua echad, ba'omer, malchut shebechesed, the majesty that is within loving kindness. The 49 days between the second night of Passover and Shavuot, we have the opportunity to engage in this mitzvah of Sfirat Omer, this mitzvah of counting the Omer. And the Omer was originally the sheaves of grain, which were once offered in the temple during that period. And as we soon will read in the book of Leviticus, we are instructed to count a full 7 weeks of offerings. Sheva Shabbatot Timimot Tiena. From the beginning of the grain harvest to its peak in the land of Israel, Passover was associated with the barley harvest, and Shavuot with the wheat harvest. But the counting of the Omer is more than merely an agricultural observance. It is representative of that journey we make calendrically, spiritually, thematically, from slavery in Egypt and the Exodus to revelation at Sinai. Pesach and Shavuot are two of our 3 pilgrimage festivals, where the people of Israel would convene at the temple in Jerusalem. The 7 weeks between these 2 holidays were crucial to the lives of ancient farmers. In a largely agrarian society, the Israelites were dependent on the temperament of the natural elements. Sun, storms, rain, wind, insects, all these things were beyond their control and could severely affect their livelihood and perhaps even their very survival. This is reflected today in the shift in our Gevurot prayer from the Amidah, whereas we used to say, Mashiv HaRuach U'Marida Gashem, God who causes the wind to blow and the rains to fall, that which we started saying at the end of Sukkot. Tonight we said, Morid Hatal, God who causes the dew to descend. And we make this transition on the first day of Pesach. The 49 days in between Pesach and Shavuot was a liminal space, between the despair of the potential ruin of one's crops and the hope for a year of plenty. But in a sabbatical year like this one, 5782, we are commanded not to harvest at all. We are commanded to let the land rest. And so we have to ask ourselves, what is the utility of Sfirat HaOmer? Gotta ask ourselves. Well, Sefer HaChinuch, 13th century Spanish explication of the mitzvot, teaches us that we count the days as an indication of our desire and longing for the Torah, that which will culminate in our reception of the Torah on Shavuot. And we can all probably relate to that excited counting as the winter melts into spring and the summer radiates on the horizon. But in the spirit of the Lurianic Kabbalist, the Sfat Emet offers another explanation. Just as the crops are ripening during these days of counting, so too is the life of a human being revealed during this time. For all of it is but an allusion to the way of the inner life. For Rabbi Isaac Luria and the inheritors of his link in the chain of mystical tradition, the way of the inner life of each one of us is vital not only to ourselves but to all life. For each of us is a world unto ourselves. As they say, for my sake, the world was created. In the same way, the seminal U.S. case of Marbury versus Madison established judicial review and thereby the court's power, one of the most radical ideas of Lurianic Kabbalah is that each of us has the power to impact God. The Kabbalistic understanding of God is represented by a spherotic tree with 10 branches. Each of these branches is an emanation of the unquantifiable divine, which we call Ein Sof, that which is without end. And each sphera, each branch, is a refraction of the divine that contains within it all the other sphirot. Now, the lower 7 of these 10 branches, these sphirot, are understood to be most accessible to us. And so the Kabbalists assigned one of each of these sphirot to each week of Sfirat HaOmer. Further still, because each sphira, each divine emanation contains all the other ones, they assigned every day its own theme too. For the Kabbalists, the counting of the Omer provided 49 opportunities to examine our inner life. Because each one of us is created b'tselem Elohim, each one of us is created in the image of God, every day of the Omer offers a mirror for us to reflect on how we honor, or perhaps diminish, these divine qualities within us, and how we do so with our lives and with our actions. Now, for us as Reformed Jews today, Sfirat HaOmer can also be a meaningful way to mark time. It can be a meaningful way to express gratitude or refocus and reflect on our priorities. And we do this as we contemplate deeply the meaning and purpose of our very existence. Towards that end, we complete the week of Chesed, that divine aspect of loving kindness. And tonight, the very last of that week of Chesed, we consider how Malchut, divine majesty that permeates the world, is present within it. Now, what is the ultimate expression of majesty within loving kindness? Our relationship to this planet Earth. For God so lovingly formed the world that each day we might be in awe of its wonder. As Walt Whitman once wrote, "I do not doubt but the majesty and beauty of the world are latent in any iota of the world." Tonight, we have the opportunity to consider how the majesty of creation is present in each of us in our capacity for loving kindness. What better day than this one? April 22nd, 2022, otherwise known as Earth Day. It is the 32nd official international commemoration of Earth Day. However, the first Earth Day was organized in 1970. On January 28th, 1969, 6 miles off the coast of Santa Barbara, pressure controls on the Union Oil Platform A failed, causing a blowout. Over the course of 10 days, between 80 and 100,000 barrels of crude oil spilled into the Santa Barbara Channel, killing thousands of seabirds and marine mammals, sullying 36 miles of coastline from Goleta to Ventura. At the time, it was the largest oil spill in the United States waters. And on April 22nd of the very next year, 20 million Americans, 10% of the population in 1970, took to the streets, parks, and auditoriums to demonstrate against the impacts of 150 years of industrial development. In a seemingly distant expression of human solidarity, Republicans and Democrats, rich and poor, urban dwellers and farmers, business and labor leaders came together with one voice to declare, we have a mutual appreciation of and a mutual responsibility for this wondrous work of creation which we call Earth. And as we count the 7th night of the Omer, Malchut Shebechesed, which just so happens to fall on Earth Day, we hope to embody the spirit of loving kindness that calls us into relationship with the majestic work of creation. May we be inspired by this Malchut to bring more chesed into the world. And even as we face down a climate crisis of catastrophic proportions, may these days and weeks of counting make us present to our own power. May we take the opportunity to be open-hearted to God's wonder and to do our part to build this world from love. I must build this world from love, just as you must build this world from love. Because if we build this world from love, then God will too. Olam Chesed Yibaneh.
Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, dadadadai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, dadadadai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, yadadadai. Olam chesed yibaneh, yadadai, dai, dai, dadadadai. I will build this world from love. Yadadai, dai, dai, dadadadai. And you must build this world from love. Yadadai, dai, dai, dadadadai. And if we build this world from love, yadadai, dai, dai, dadadadai, then God will build this world from love. Yadadai, dai, dai, dadadadai.
invite you to rise in body or spirit on page 282 for our labor.
Aleinu l'shabech l'Adon hakol, l'ateit gedula liotzer reshit, shelo asanu pigurye ha'aratzot, velo samanu kemishpechot ha'adama, shelo sam chelkenu kahem, v'gor aleinu kircho hamonam, va'anachnu kor'im, u'mishachavim u'modim, lifnei melech malchei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu. Vayom hahu yihyeh Adonai echad, u'shemo echad.
It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness that their passing leaves behind. But memory can only tell us what we were in the company of those we loved. It cannot help each of us find what now alone we must become. But no one's ever really alone. Those who live no more echo still within our thoughts and words, and what they did is part of us and what we have become. We do best homage to our dead when we live our lives more fully, even in the shadow of our loss. For each of our lives is worth the life of the whole world, and each one is the breath of the ultimate one. In affirming the one, we affirm the worth of each one whose life now ended brought us closer to the source of life, in whose unity no one is alone, and every life finds purpose. We remember the recent passing of Hannah G. Tauber, as well as the yard sites of Ina Schlein, Janet Engelhardt Gutterman, Harry Garrick, George Finkelman, Martin Fibish, Sarah Gay Chernoff, Cheryl A. Clavin Brown, Mel Clake, Paula Bazar, Jack Warren Palin, and
Elaine Taylor.
Warner's Cottage can be found on page 294. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, v'yamad yivrach yerutei yamtiv malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei techol beit Yisrael, v'agalav v'zman karib imru amen. Yehei shmei rabbah mevarach le'olam lo meil maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitmamam v'yitmaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei b'kedusha b'richu, le'elam im kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran ve'amah v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us and to all Israel, to which we say, Amen.
Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu. Ve'al kol
exciting things coming up in the life of Temple Bethel. Among them, Torah study tomorrow at 9 a.m. Super exciting. You should be there. We also have the Joanne Foreman Film Festival presented by the Sisterhood of Temple Bethel. We hope that you join us for a virtual film festival and discussion, the first installment of which will be this Sunday, April 24th from 2 to 3 p.m. And
It's all on Zoom.
It's all on
Discussion is
Zoom.
on Zoom. Also tomorrow night is the Lindenbaum dinner as we honor Fred Franklin for his many years of service here at our temple. It's been 3 years since
The longest running Lindenbaum.
longest running Lindenbaum award winner. Yes, indeed. Anything else?
That's it for me. We should sing together on page
Yes.
321, Adon Olam.
Don't allow. Adon Olam Asher Malach B'terem Kol Yitzir Nivra Le'et Na'asa B'chefzo Kol Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Azai Melech Shemo Nikra Ve'acharei Kidlot HaKol Levado Yimloch Nora Ve'hu Haya Ve'hu Hoveh Ve'hu Yihye Betifara Ve'hu Yihye Betifara Ve'hu Echad Ve'ein Sheni Leham Shilo Le'achbira Ve'li Reshit Ve'li Tachlit Ve'lo Ha'oz Ve'ha'misra Ve'lo Ha'oz Ve'ha'misra Ve'hu Eli Ve'chai Go'ali Ve'tzur Chedli Ve'ein Tzara Ve'hu Nisi Umanosli Menat Kosi Be'yom Ekra Menat Kosi Be'yom Ekra Be'yado Akid Ruchi Be'eit Ishan Be'ayira Be'im Ruchi Keviati Adonai li Ve'lo ira Adonai li Ve'lo ira
Shabbat
Shabbat
Shalom.
Shalom.
I should say that for some of us who haven't had bread in a very long time, despite the fact that we don't have an oneg, we do have some chalot here. So if you'll join me in motzi, maybe we can have a little bit of challah and celebrate our return to carbohydrates.
Indeed. You can't see everybody on the, you can play. Oh, it's right here.
Oh yeah, it's right here.
Oh, I thought it was outside. Okay,
It's the
never
same.
mind. Sorry. I thought that was our exit music.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. All right, I'm not going to say no to that.
It's so sweet. It's so good. Shabbat Shalom to all our friends on Zoom, and thank you all for joining us here in person too. Oh, nice.
How's it going?
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Tell you what, Taylor, yeah, I know where he's from. More far, I guess. Graduation. Dessert thing, we graduated from that.
Oh, that's right.
Only when it's
It was at the
really
end of
down.
Graduation. Maybe it's somebody else. Probably.
We woke up to.
I should have taken Intro Judaism course, but it was on the Zoom channel. That was over. I saw. Okay, I was at that one in Cranston. Anyways, yeah. Nice. Well, how you doing?
And
Pretty
some
good.
years
How's
back.
how's your wife doing? Good. Yeah, she's almost done
So we
with
knew
her.
at least half.
She can't publish
Yeah,
it.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah, to be done. Yeah, she's almost done, and yeah, looking forward to the summer, I guess.
Yeah, what
But, the weather is a bit better.
They were like, yeah.
I just get a little down with winter occasionally, you know.
Winter's my favorite time of the year.
I like the cold. You like the cold?
Yeah, because it's like for me, winter I like the cold, I just don't like the snow.
I see, okay. You need to live in some place that's cold with no snow.
Pretty much.
I'm trying to think of a place where that would be.
I'm so saturated with red right now.
No, Nigeria has snow.
I know.
Thank God.
Yeah, nice. I'm glad you're doing well. And are you still working at the warehouse?
Yeah, I'm still working at
You
that.
passed by
Nice,
that?
nice.
No, I am trying to find work elsewhere. Trying to find something more
Oh no, feeling better.
long-term plan.
I'm glad.
Yeah, right.
Try and find something because Amazon's not very good.
Still.
Well, I was just concerned when you were telling me about how
I'm glad that you're
No,
not down with it.
Amazon's not good.
Oh, maybe.
Stop and shop.
Stop and shop. Okay, that's
I don't underwork.
Stop and shop. Okay. Amazon was better.
Yeah.
Okay,
You
nice.
don't need to mess around with it.
Yeah. You should get some piece of bread.
Shabbat shalom, Philip. Thank you again for the
So anything going on?
Hey, how you doing?
Well, my wife and I are decided we're gonna. Well, she was already going.
Hi, how was your holiday?
To Europe.
I really love
So
it.
so.
I'm glad you got to do it. I think it'll be just additive to the.
What?
I'm glad I didn't come to the second Seder because I
I'll
was
look
sick
out for
on
you. I'll let you
Sunday.
know that I knew her wedding.
Well, I keep another day, so
Oh, okay.
I'm used to age.
I've only been to
Wonderful.
Frankfurt.
Thanks for wonderful sermon.
I
You're fabulous
I had
sermons
an
every
hour
time.
from Venice.
Yeah, nice to be here.
Well, I'm glad. So keep on coming back. You know?
Yeah, oh yeah. I belonged here for 44 years, so
I know.
I've
You
been
can't leave
coming
us in
back.
Florida. You're not allowed to leave. What? The same Rhode Island forever.
So how was the first Passover in your new home? Must have been nice.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, I
Really so happy.
I remember you said you're gonna host some people, some friends.
Yeah, it was nice. My brother came, and we had a couple other people, and it was just like very low key.
Good.
Good stuff. Yeah. And how's your Passover been?
All right, low key is a word for it. It's all right.
Yeah.
Very nice. I enjoy holidays, so.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice to like have something to look forward to.
Oh yeah, no.
It's great.
Yeah. Anyhow, nice to be here again.
It's good to have you.
Yeah, thanks. Shabbat shalom.
And your gelato.
Evan, I haven't seen you in, like you're alive. This is so
I'm
amazing.
alive. Yeah,
I'm
it's
very
great.
grateful for that. Man.
Oh, thank you.
I think we're getting rid of him. Then. Once he's in, he's stuck.
Well, when it's time, we'll have you take care of it.
Yes, no, this is great. Your speech was awesome, as always.
Not always, you know. Sometimes they're better than others. We'll say it that
Well,
way.
it's better than others, but there always gets something from it. And you talked about the Santa Barbara oil spill.
Yeah.
It's,
God.
hit my backyard.
Yeah. Amazing that eventually led to both the Clean Air Act and
Right.
the creation of the EPA. Though ironically, it was Nixon that put it in.
And
Yes.
OSHA too, right? OSHA also came out of that.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should know this because my dad works for OSHA. Well, works for OSHA. Cal
Oh,
OSHA.
yeah.
My experience with OSHA has never been good.
They're always coming in and telling you what you can't do.
No, it was more because previously I worked for Stop and Shop in Sonnet, and I can give you horror stories of basically unsafe work environments. And OSHA came and investigated multiple times and cleared us multiple times. Like, I mean,
Not doing their job.
no, it's like we had a guy who literally got crushed by 3,000 pounds worth of equipment and died, and they cleared the warehouse to basically continue to do it.
They didn't even give him like a $10,000 fine. That's
No.
the max they can give.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
killed someone, here's a $10,000 fine.
Well, for criminal, I mean, they
Sure.
Well, it's like, yeah, it's like, and it's like, I remember the place was like, it was haunting when that happened.
Yeah, I don't know I'd be able to go back to work after that.
Yeah.
Well, also there's just so
So you can't kill anyone in this building. It'll make it very
No,
hard for you to work here.
Hey, it was just as bad as basically the day one of the trucks exploded. But that gave us a free day
That's the
off of
same
work.
truck.
That gave us a free day off of
Wait,
work.
you didn't get a day off when your colleague is crushed under a 3,000
Nope.
Oh, that's terrible.
We basically came in. They told us what happened.
Yeah.
And I remember the night he got crushed. I don't even remember basically anyone was talking about it. Then they come in and they tell us that basically he got crushed and basically was dead. Which was also sad because he was a 25-year veteran. He could have collected his pension.
They had pensions at Stop and Shop?
Yeah, union, so.
Okay.
We love a good union.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, Preston's from a union family, right? Thank God for
It
that.
feels like a moment, you know, like 25 Starbucks stores, 2 Amazon stores. We're like, maybe there's a time when unionization hit this country the way it like.
Well, here's my opinion. Unions had a purpose when they were first came out and there was a serious reason. But nowadays, I think, with the exception of a few professions here and there, they play little relevance now because the vast majority of the laws that we put in over the years have kind of made, especially with us, nowadays safety is becoming like a big thing in the business world.
Sure.
I think it's like they don't hold as much relevance or necessity.
Except if you want to get paid a little bit more money. You know,
Yes,
your
there
employer
is-
says things like, oh, you know, cost of living wages, pshaw. And
Yeah.
you say, no, we're going to collectively bargain. And
Yeah. I mean, look
I'm
at
a union, you can't tell me anymore.
Which I grew up in a family that was opposite.
So
Oh,
what?
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, my family are white collar desk jockeys. They've been that way.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like we've been that way for generations. It's like I've only had one family member who ever worked a union job. And
Besides you, baby.
yeah, besides me.
Wow.
And that was my grandfather, but my grandfather was the type of guy who he'd find any loophole in the system and he'd abuse it to the core.
Sounds like
my
good
kind of guy.
He was able to have the union still give him subsidies until he was in his 80s.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean,
The system's got a lot of problems. Might as well make some work for you.
we need the big unions to protect us from the excesses of capitalism.
Amen.
That's. I mean, look.
No, my attitude was, I once heard a hippie say, capitalism has already won. It's the forms of capitalism we're fighting for now. Because it's like,
Well, there's some truth to that, I guess.
it's like,
You can't get out of a system that's already been like, it is.
You think so? You
It
don't
would
think
be, I mean, like, yeah, I find a lot of truth in that.
I've always been a fan of, when it comes to economics, I've always been a fan of Fordism, welfare capitalism, which is popular in the 20s, and the Kemergy movement.
Hemorrhage.
Kemergy was an idea started by Henry Ford and George Washington Carver back in the 1910s and 20s. The idea behind it was to take agricultural products and apply them into industrial output design.
Peanut butter farms.
Yeah, he designed a car. He built a car out of soybeans.
That's so cool.
He did. He actually built a car out of soybeans. There's an infamous photo on the internet of a video on the internet of Henry Ford taking a sledgehammer and bashing the back of the trunk of the car and then not making a dent.
George Washington.
Yeah. George Washington Carver. In my opinion, one of the greatest scientists we've ever had in this country's history.
I need to learn more about him. I was taught very little about him in elementary school, and that's it.
And at the same time, it's like his background is kind of like one of those stories that like give hope and inspiration to the
Wasn't
children.
he born like a slave or
Here's his general story. He was born a slave, and basically, when he was 3 years old, his mother basically tried to do the run for freedom, but failed. And basically, I think she actually died in the process.
Wow.
But after slavery ended, his former master took pity on the kid and raised him kind of as his own, as such.
He wasn't his own. Was he?
Anyway, it would explain why he took an interest in
That
the
was,
kid.
yeah,
But,
especially with Frederick Douglass.
They also say things like that about George Washington had like
I've always heard Washington himself was infertile, but supposedly his brother was supposedly fathered children with his slaves, supposedly.
And certainly we know about Jefferson.
We know about Jefferson.
Madison.
I think it's still a tragedy that Jefferson, foundation that handles the family cemetery won't let the Sally Hemings bloodline be
Really?
Yeah, they prove, it's like everyone's proven, there's documents, and there's
no question.
and there's DNA that's proven, and yet they say because no written documents were built at the time, it's like they wouldn't go. Please, if the Jeffersons today can say yes to it, like the majority of the families, they've done reunions and everybody.
Yeah, I've heard they did like interesting reunions the last
Yeah,
time.
they've done reunions over the years, and it's like the white family has no problem with it, but there's a bunch of outside relatives.
Tell me you're racist without telling me you're racist.
Yeah.
It's like,
Wow, that's and I've been to Montana. It's so beautiful. I mean, he's such an amazing person in a lot of ways.
No, what always,
Yeah.
no, well, my favorite, like,
makes sense.
everything I've always seen of Jefferson that I've always liked is, if you ever go to the Library of Congress, they have his own personal collection of all his books on display. And it's set in circular pieces, like you look at some of this collection, it's like, he really had an appreciation for the classics. It's like he had pieces of literature from ancient Greek story, ancient Greek epics. He had stuff from basically Eastern European writers. Heck, he even had his own English translation copy of the Quran, basically in his library.
Didn't he make a new Bible that like he took out all the fantastical parts or something? Like
Well, people have been doing that for years.
he like literally
Heck,
rewrote the Bible.
the Nazis took out built their own Bible and tried to publish it during the 30s.
They did.
Yeah, they
In
did.
the American South, there was a slave owner's Bible that took out
Oh,
references
yes.
to the Exodus.
Yeah, it's like,
That's so.
Well, it just proves the power of the story, right? Like,
Yeah.
no, the saddest of all those stories I've heard is still that of the Mormons and the fact that they. I'm so sorry.
No. It's my last name.
But the Mormons basically, one of their leaders, Brigham Young, was no racist.
of the Brigham University.
Yes, he put in a notion that basically stated that there was no justification for trying to convert African Americans because there was an national economic state.
Because
So
they
as a
were just-
result,
It's like a whole part of their
until
theology.
until 1974, well, they did do converts later on. Till 1974, not a single African American or any African period would not be admitted into Mormon culture.
But they could join the church.
Now they've basically been going like crazy to try and
Yeah.
signify that they're diversified and such over the years. Like it's sad to try and clean up 130 church history.
Yeah, tell that to the United States.
I've heard that the Mormons were like going back and forth with those I mean, many of them from the south, but then they were like kind of trying to get on the north side after the Civil, like before the Civil War, they're like kind of on the south side.
Well, you have to understand most Mormons after Joseph Smith fled east of the Mississippi and went to Utah, where the vast majority of them still live today. And most people, when European settlers started coming, they never even heard or knew about the Mormons, and suddenly they see this group of European settlers following. It's like, I thought this place was supposed to be the Indian side. It's like,
It's a real wrench in the whole manifest destiny thing.
yeah.
I love learning. One day I'm going to read the Book of Mormon, but it's long.
Well, I think the Book of Mormon is actually
I can just watch the show.
I think it's actually an interesting story.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
true.
it's fantastical. Yeah, it's like really a different way of understanding history and the way the time moves.
Yeah. They think we left. They think we were able, the Jews were able to build boats and get to the New World in 600 BC, which I appreciate the confidence, but I don't think we could have done it.
No. Well, they have had people
Maybe
like who have
white
built ancient Egyptian style ships and have taken the.
It's not possible. I feel like if I'm an ancient person, and like I know I'm probably not giving them a credit, but if I'm an ancient person, being in the like sort of mind that I am now, the incredible anxiety that I would fall off the side of the world, I would not.
Mad respect to the Aborigines.
Yes.
They're like 40,000 years.
When it comes to the people who,
Although
I mean, we know the Vikings came here first. There have been stories that the Chinese under Zhang He's fleet basically came here in the 1300s.
Interesting.
Like, have you ever heard of Zhang He? Zhang He was a eunuch in the ancient Chinese imperial court. And as a result, because of that, he was able to get anyone in the imperial court to trust him. And he was also one of these characters who loved to study, loved to read books, and so on and so forth. So he convinces the emperor of China to build a fleet of ships. And he travels through China all the way to Southeast Asia, India, the southern coast of Africa. In their stories that he actually made into modern day Chile. And it's like,
But he didn't stay. Why didn't the Chinese try to colonize?
I don't know. Maybe
There was enough to do in China. There's 5 kingdoms, they're all warring.
Yeah, but still we have a communist regime. Now we have a communist regime that basically controls everyone's life and takes paranoia into an art form.
And now they're making up for lost time in Africa, so that's
Yeah.
So they are.
No, the worst story I ever heard about the Chinese was their.
I'm gonna get that book in a second. Shabbat shalom.
You gotta go.
Yeah.
This is what she's doing.
Hey, sir.
Hey, Shabbat shalom.
Worst I've ever heard about with Africa is there's a country in Africa called Mauritania.
Yeah, pretty poor, very poor, right?
Yeah, well, they also go down in history as the last country in the world to ever outlaw slavery.
Right. It was like 20 years. Like,
It was 1981, and it's like
good job.
It's like that's a title a record you don't want to hold.
Yeah, you don't want to. I mean, we were pretty late, right? Compared to.
No, not really.
But
here's the general
well,
piece
for modern countries.
Even for modern countries, we're not incredibly late because here's the general gist. The first, the slave trade, which made the international slavery, which abolished the slave trade for Africa, ended in 1807.
Yeah.
The last slave-owning country in Europe, Romania, was in 1858.
Were they owning Romani people?
Yeah, gypsies.
Okay.
But then you have the serfs in Russia, which is kind of they might be slaves, slaves, they might not be.
Kinda.
That was in 1861. Cuba was in 1875. Brazil, which is considered the last Western country to have abolished slavery, was in 1878. And then slavery was declared illegal under international law in 1926. Turkey abolished it the year before.
Who were they using for slaves? Just like
they brought in Africans just like we did.
okay. Oh, I do know about the Arab trade. Yeah.
Then we had, of course, the Nazis and the fact that they used the Jews and the Gypsies and the Poles as slave labor during the war and such.
They were slaves. Okay.
Then after decolonization, for years slavery was technically considered illegal under the terms of the French Empire, but realistically, slave markets still existed under law because there was this French deal of we'll let local law and custom be allowed. Yeah. So in the 50s, when decolonization came, there was a general clause the French put in, you can basically become independent, but you have to adhere to the rules of the UN, which included abolishing slavery.
I see, like Algeria was...
Morocco was 56.
I guess do we have to go?
No, you don't.
Okay. You gotta get your last piece of bread.
I gotta go to dinner, man. I'm like,
Where are you heading out to?
if I tell you, you can't laugh at me.
I won't.
The Outback Steakhouse.
I love that. Why would I laugh at you?
We don't go for anything.
Because it's like kind of pedestrian or something?